All right, guys, welcome back again. This is usually post Monday. However, sometimes when we get backed up Monday on trips or vacation, or if it's a holiday, it gets pushed out to Tuesday. So again, apologize again. However, welcome, guys. Team LNG market update. Wanted to let you guys know that we're going to cover a few things. Maybe I didn't put it into the documentation, which I'll put in the description later, but we're going to cover real estate market update. I'm going to share with you guys live what's going on in Minnesota market. And then I'm going to cover a topic that one of my past clients has asked questions about. What does it cost, or what are the costs associated to selling if you're trying to sell? And I'm going to break it even further. Who should sell, who shouldn't sell, and how does all this relate, especially if you're trying to build equity? How do you know it's the right time to sell and the wrong time to sell? Okay. We're going to cover that. So it's going to be a little bit longer today, but bear with me. Again, please invite friends and like and share so other people can use this information. This is not just for Minnesota market. This is for any market that you're in. However, the numbers are going to be similar. How the costs are associated are going to be very similar all over the US. Okay. So let's jump into the numbers first, guys. And again, if you don't know me, if it's your first time, I'm George Yang with Team LNG, locally from KW here in Minnesota, Twin Cities. However, we do refer business in other states as well, or if you have questions we can answer, please let us know. Comment below if you have any questions. This will be on two different sites, on my Facebook page and my YouTube. And again, I'm still new at streaming on both sites, so apologize if you don't get all the answers you're looking for, but just comment below, leave a comment, I'll get back to you, okay? Let's jump into this, guys. All right, so hopefully you guys can see that. I don't know how big it is on your screen. Again, still kind of new at this, trying to stream. So the number one thing that you guys should know when you are looking at these numbers is we break down these few numbers because these are the numbers that tell us kind of what the market is doing, how do we understand the market, how fast are properties selling. So let's just go down the line and I'll come back and break down my opinion of how I look at these numbers and how it relates to you. If you're a seller or if you're a buyer, these are crucial numbers to pay attention to, okay? So coming soon, and as you look at the bottom there, you see there's 24 hours. So these are within 24 hours of within an hour or two from the metro is kind of the range that I map this around so that you guys will know that it's not anywhere in this state. It's locally in the Twin Cities and just outskirts of the Twin Cities, okay? So coming soon, you have 117, new listing 128, back on market 20. You have price decreases 257. That's a large number, okay? We'll come back to this number again, okay? Price increases 20. You have price pendings. You have 156. That's a great number for a Tuesday. But again, common numbers that we see all the time. Okay. Close 137. Good number. Cancellation 55. Expired 31. Those are high numbers. Okay. So let's go back to the number that is very important on this one. The price decrease 257 versus the coming out new today 128. It's double. Okay, it's like almost double the number. So when you see a high number, which again, this is expected because I'm in the business every day and this is what I look at, I expect to see this for our state in Minnesota in August because it's transitioning from the summer before school starts. Some places schools already started. We're starting in September. So this is the time that all families are taking vacations. They're on cruises. They're going to other countries to visit. This is the time that families are taking trips. So you're going to see a slower, buying side, and you're also going to see a decrease in sell side because if the properties are not priced right, and if they're not, if you don't have 50 buyers, your price are going to decrease. Okay, that is how the marketplace is across the board, always in August. Okay, so just keep in mind that it's not something to be scary about. It's something to understand that if you're a buyer, now is your chance to negotiate a win-win property price, negotiating terms. Okay, now is a good time for that. Okay. On the sell side, does that mean that I can't sell? Does that mean that I should hold? It depends on what you have, and it depends on your price, and depends how fast you need to sell this. Okay, if you need to sell this property faster, you might want to wait till next month to sell. Okay, however, you never know the right buyer and when they're trying to buy, and it depends on your situation. If you need to move, or if you have to go somewhere, or if you just want to throw on the market now, then you just got to understand that the numbers, it may be a little bit slower to sell. Okay, August has always been that month. I would say extra 30 or 60 days to sell in August, because the whole month you may have only one buyer. In other months you might have like 10 buyers. Okay, so just keep in mind that that's a Minnesota market. I don't know if it's the same for every market, but for Minnesota, that's how it works. Because everybody knows that when school starts, the kids go back to school, and then winter kicks in, and we get snow, and then it becomes winter season. Okay, so it's very different for Minnesota. But I would say again, if you look at those numbers, price decreases is 100% telling us that prices are too high. They're dropping back down. It does not mean you can't sell the top. It means if you're not selling the right property, your price too high, or going to take longer to sell. Okay, that's just how the market is. And if you look at, you see that pretty consistent every Monday, Tuesday, maybe even Wednesday. Okay, most properties are on the market Thursday, Friday, Saturday sometimes, and then of course buyers are competing, and then it goes pending Monday, Tuesday, and then of course, when they close 30 days from now, it closes around the same time. Okay, Monday, Tuesday, or sometime Thursday, Friday. Okay, so just keep in mind that those numbers are just based on the last 24 hours. Okay, so hopefully you guys took something away from that. Hopefully it makes sense. Comment below if you have questions on those numbers. But let's dive into the other topic that one of my past clients asked this question. So I told her I would do a request to answer these questions and help you guys understand how do you understand seller costs. Okay, so let's dive into this. Okay, I don't have anything written because I do this all the time. It is ingrained in my head. However, I wrote down a couple of notes that you may want to know as far as what are the repairs, and then I'll cover kind of how they work. Okay, so as a seller, okay, first and foremost, if you sell under 1 year, you are going to have capital gains. Okay, you need to talk to your accountant about this. Okay, 1 year or less is short-term capital gains. 1 year or more, under 2 years, is long-term capital gains. And then after 2 years and 1 day, if you are homestead, the IRS rule says that you have a tax benefit. Okay, which means that you if you're a single person owning a house, you can make up to 250 and not pay tax. Okay, and if you're a married couple that files together, you can claim up to 500,000 and no tax. Okay, but I'm not an accountant. Okay, so talk to your accountant and your legal attorneys or whoever it is you need to consult with to validate this for yourself. Okay, this is just a general rule of thumb out there that the IRS puts. If you do a Google search on it, you can find it. Okay, but they're very particular on how you must take ownership in order to claim this. And it must be homestead. Okay, not relative homestead and not any other type of ownership. It must be homestead. Okay, the relative homestead is a little bit different. That's when you buy your second home. I don't believe you get the same claim on tax, but again, I'm not a tax expert. Okay, I'm in real estate. We know about this. We learn about it. However, the rules can change, just like in our industry. It changes every 6 to 9 months in our industry. Every August we have new rules. So I don't keep up with all the stuff that happens in the accounting side and the tax side and the legal side, unless it's pertaining to the real estate side. We don't study that. Okay, we do come across that and we do hear about it. We do know that those things change. But if you want to really know that that affects you or not, talk to your CPA or your accountant. Okay, so first and foremost, just understand that that's kind of why, if you're buying, you want to think about, okay, I want to live here for 2 years and 1 day, or I want to live 5 years to 10 years. Okay, why do we say 5 to 10? Because most of the time, if your annual appreciation based on NAR, National Board of Realtors, okay, according to their research, it's about 3% increase per year, year over year, depending on the property you have, if you bought it right, if it's in good condition. the average is about 3%. So if you're increasing value, you're not going to have enough value to cover your costs under that 2 years, to be honest. Okay. Most properties do not appreciate enough for you to make some money. So if you go 5 years, and if you, let's say your house is 300,000, you take 300,000, you multiply that by 3%, whatever that number is. Okay. I'm not doing the calculation right now, but let's say it's 9,000. Okay. You take 9,000, you multiply that by 5 years. That's your number. Okay. So let's say it's 10,000 just to make it easy. Okay. That would be 50,000, right? So if you have 50,000 profit on average, then you know that in 5 years, you can cover your resale costs and make some money and move on, right? Now, if your house appreciates even higher, good for you, right? So just keep in mind that I don't ever recommend people buy within 2 years and try to sell quickly and make some money back. It is a rare case that you make money. Most of the time, people lose money because they're buying already too high and they don't build enough cushion for equity. And then when they resell, they have a problem. Okay. So just keep in mind that every property is subjective to your location, what you paid for it, who wants your home, and when are you selling. Okay. So in general, okay, if you are selling the first time, if you bought the first time and you're selling the first time, I highly suggest you talk to a real estate professional that you trust, not a loan officer, because that's only if you're trying to get approval. Your real estate professional are the ones that are going to tell you, is it a good time for you to sell? Okay. I would never hire somebody if they just tell you, yeah, go ahead and sell because I can make you X amount. They really need to look out for your best interest by understanding, is now the best time to sell? How much are you going to make? How much you're going to lose? And if after you know those things you want to sell, it should be your decision. Okay. Don't ever let anybody pressure you to sell just because they tell you that you can make a lot of money. Okay. It depends on your position. Okay. The rates change every time you buy and sell again. The costs are always there. And that's what we're going to cover today. So you guys get a better general idea of what is included in these costs when you are selling. So if you're selling the first time, especially, okay, the number one thing you need to understand is, okay, first of all, do I have repair costs? Okay. Do I have repair costs? I don't know how other agents look at this. Every agent is different based on their experience and their background and how they sell and who they sell to. But you need to look at your repair costs. Do I need to paint the house? Do I need to fix everything outside? Do I need to fix everything inside? Do I need to just fix the minimum? We must disclose everything we know and everything you tell us, because if we don't, we're considered withholding information from the other party, which means we're lying to them. Okay. So just keep in mind that um, you need to think about your repair costs to figure out, okay, how much work do I really need to do? And how much can I sell for? Right. And then try to tie the two together. Now, do you always need to do a lot of repairs? No, you don't. That's why you need to talk to a real estate professional, walk them through your property, figure out, is now a good time for me? I have this much left in my mortgage. What is my game plan? Am I buying again? Am I moving away? Am I going back to rental? Am I moving in with family? Figure out what your game plan is. And then, of course, figure out what are the repair costs if you have any, or do you need to repair anything? Every agent does this differently. And then, of course, you go into, okay, now that I know my repair costs, and I do want to sell because I want to buy bigger, or I want to move in with somebody, or I want to buy with family. Okay, figure out that game plan. Okay. And then after you figure that out, you have repairs, the reason why you want to sell, and then the listing costs, right? When you hire an agent, we'll break down a couple of the other costs, but this is the big one that people always ask questions about. How much do you charge, right? As an agent, how much do you charge? Okay. I've heard people say that, hey, some listing agents are charging 4%, some are charging 5%, some are charging 6%, some are charging 7%, some are charging 8%. Okay. It depends on who you talk to, and it depends on how good their team is and whatever they want to charge. If you like their team and their service and how they do stuff, they'll charge whatever percent they want. And if you don't pay it, they won't work with you. Okay. However, understand that in the real estate industry, this is the reason why there's a big lawsuit. And not talk to other agents and manipulate the industry and basically monopolize the industry by saying, hey, we're all going to charge 7%. Then they have no choice. No, we can't do that. Okay. And we don't do that. We don't talk to any other agent. We don't talk to any other agent. We come up with a price for our team, who we are, what service we give you, how good we are in the industry, and our branding. Like if people know us, they'll buy your stuff. If they know us, they'll ask questions. Branding, marketing, and your agent is your most crucial resell factor. How high you sell, how fast you sell, and the quality that you sell at. Okay. Some brokers are known to sell renovation properties. Some brokers are known to sell REO properties that are bank owned. Some agents or brokers are known to sell just luxury, right? Every agent, every broker is very different. Okay. So when I say broker, I'm talking about like Keller Williams, Remax, Caldwell Burnett, right? The big companies that have been here a long time that people heard of, that's the broker. So they represent something in the industry because they've been here a long time. However, the agent, we have our own brand. My brand is Team LNG. You can see the brand right here. My company is called Team LNG, and we're with KW. However, we have a very niche position that we take, and how we sell and how we market and who we talk to. But again, when you're selling, you go through your repairs, you figure out why you want to sell, can you make money? Your agent should pull your numbers, give you what we call a CMA, comparative market analysis, that tells you what your value could be. And again, that's subjective. So if your agent doesn't know their numbers, or they've never sold before, or if they're not good at that, I don't know how they run numbers, right? I've gotten to a point in my industry as a rehabber. When I started off in the industry, I was very afraid to lose money as a seller. And so I was very afraid to buy the wrong house. So I crunched numbers all the time. I looked at 10 different web sources. We had coaches that taught us how to do renovations. And I trusted my gut that if all these sites tell me that it's worth this, I think I can get this. And I have never lost money as a rehabber selling. However, the case, the reason we got away from that was not the fact that you can't make money. It was the fact that I wasn't serving people that I wanted to serve, right? I wanted to teach people and show people what they can do, how to build their family, how to build wealth buying the right property. And so I started doing that instead of chasing renovations and buying the ugliest property and turning it and making money. You definitely can make more money doing that. And it's a rare occasion anyways, okay? Because there's not a ton of property out there. You have to do a lot of due diligence, do a lot of marketing, and technically you have to take from somebody who needs to sell, and then you're going to make money by taking their property, right? I just didn't feel very ethical or integrity driven doing that. I had a couple of those conversations with families that I just felt guilty taking their property, and I did not take it. And so because of that, this is what we do today, is help people understand buying the right property, making good decisions, doing just enough renovation, selling it to the next party, moving on with your life, getting to the next level. Okay. So when it comes to that listing and listing agreement, understand that no broker and no agent team can talk to each other to price fix or to say that we always charge this. No. Okay. Some teams are going to charge 5%. Some teams are going to charge 6%. Some teams are going to charge 7% or more. It depends on who you talk to. Okay. With every seller that I work with, depending on their situation, I have a fee that I charge depending on what I need to do, the consultation I have to give you, the hand holding I have to do, maybe contractors I have to give you, depending on what has to happen. Sometimes we could charge less, sometimes we have to charge more. Okay. But we have a fee we charge, and we talk about that day one, and we look at all your numbers and we explain all that. So it's not a surprise. Okay. So again, understand that every agent charges a different fee, but in the past, before everybody got this lawsuit going on, as a selling agent, we always negotiate a percentage, for example, like 6%. Okay. If we charge 6%, it means that a portion of that, which is either 2.5, 2.7, or 3% sometimes, a portion of that will get allocated to paying the buyer's agent. Okay. That's how it has been for a long time. However, the fact we still do that now, but we cannot market that on the MLS anymore. Okay. Now it's marketed through social media, through our personal website, emails. We can call people if they're booking. We just can't put it online anymore. Okay. So that's the difference that we have seen in the past. However, the case, if the buyer's agents are not getting paid, nobody's going to show your home. Nobody's going to buy your home. Okay. So I have not seen a difference in how we do business. It still works technically the same way. Okay. So just keep in mind that when you talk to your listing agent, not a buyer's agent, but a listing agent, they will talk about, okay, well, what repairs do you really need in order to sell at the top? And they must show you comps to support that. Okay. You got to see that properties are nicer, so they sell higher, and properties are average and they sell lower. Don't ever take an agent's word for it if you don't see the data. Okay. If there's no proof that a nicer home is selling higher, why are you spending 20, 30,000, right? You got to know what the data is doing, and the agent should be able to explain it and show it to you. If they can't, I would not hire them. Okay. um, so again, you have the fee that the listing agent charges, but it's per what they need to do. And again, understand that most of the time, I'm not speaking for all agents, I'm speaking for myself and my team. When we charge our fee, okay, there's no other fee outside of that. Okay, whether we sell it or not, that's the percentage that we charge. And again, we do photos. Okay, we have professional photo team that we hire that comes out. We have signage team that we pay that comes out. The marketing and flyers and anything that we print that we do, we don't charge anything to. Okay, it's a flat percentage, and then we cover everything else to get the house sold. We take over as the marketing specialist and expert in getting your property marketed and sold. And again, it doesn't work the same for every property. Okay, if all houses are nice and in perfect condition, you would have no problem selling, but not all properties are built the same. So sometimes it takes a little bit longer, sometimes it takes different type of marketing. Sometimes it takes calls that we have to make to other people just to get them to show up. It kind of depends. Okay. So again, that's on the listing side. And then it goes down to your seller closing costs. Okay. I've had this dispute only one time in my career, and I don't think all sellers understand. Okay. So I want to make it clear so you guys understand this. Okay. Buyers have what's called buyer's costs. Sellers have what's called seller's costs. What do those costs look like? Let me help you understand that in a quick minute here, okay? On the buy side, when you're buying, you have closing costs, you have prepaid expense, you have appraisal fees and broker fees and whatever other fees as a buyer that's generated, which is between 3 to 4% or so. Okay. As a buyer, you have way more costs because you got down payment and all this other stuff. Okay. That's all considered costs. As a seller, you have seller's cost, which is tied to water bill, property tax, title service, okay, payoff fee, transfer tax fee, which could be like 33%. Property tax is like 1%. It depends on when it's prorated, when you're selling, because technically most property tax are paid 6 months in advance. So it depends on how you do this, okay? Those are pretty standard costs as a seller that you will have. And then you have title, right? You got to pay title service in order to close your property out, change the title to the next buyer's name, right? So title has fee, but again, I would say on average, the sell side is much lower than the buy side. The sell side is maybe 1 to 2% or so. Okay, on average. The buy side is probably 3 to 4 or more percent, depending on your situation, right? If you're a veteran, your costs are lower. If you're not a veteran, costs are higher. If your credit score is great, your costs will be lower. If your credit score is low, your costs will be higher. It all depends. Okay. It's very different. Okay. So just keep in mind that you have those costs in order to close it out. So buyer's closing costs, seller's closing costs. It's not the same. Okay. Now, sometimes when you're buying, you can ask for a seller to pay closing costs. In a market like this week where there's a lot of reduction, I hit them with the seller's cost. Like, why not? I would buy your property subject to you giving me 3% closing costs. If they agree to that, then you get closing costs. Okay. However, the case, it doesn't always work in this kind of market because there are a lot of properties that, even though you have some reduction going on, you have a lot of properties that everybody wants and they're fighting for this. So if you put a seller's pay closing costs in there to cover your closing costs as a buyer, you're going to lose. Okay. That's what we've seen all year. Okay. So it's per the property. It's not like per the month or any time of that year. It depends on what property you're buying. We still see a lot of multiple competition. Okay. So these are all the costs kind of tied to the buy side, the sell side. Okay. The buy side has their own, but the sell side, they have these costs. However, the case, how do you know that you should sell? Okay. Don't sell because people tell you. Don't sell because friends are telling you. Don't sell because you want to be close to a shopping center. Okay. Only sell if it's going to make you money and if it makes sense and if you can afford to buy again. don't go back to rental if you don't have to, guys. Okay, if you have to, so be it. Okay, but if you can't afford again, and if you're trying to buy up, then do it. If you're trying to buy, let's say maybe a duplex and you're trying to house hack, so be it, right? But if you're selling to go back to the rental world, I don't suggest that. That's not a good idea. Okay. I get it. Sometimes people have to do it. They have to move. They have to start over. Yes, sometimes you have to do what you need to do in order to clear your debt off and start over. Okay. That is a given. However, the case, if you've been there 1 year, 1.5 year, and it doesn't make sense to sell, then don't do it. But if you need something bigger and you outgrown your place because maybe you bought first time and you didn't know and you bought too small, get rid of it, right? What's the point of holding that for multiple years just to know that it's going to cost you and your living condition and then you can't buy again, right? So, whatever that case is, when we have a discussion with a seller, we always ask, why do you want to sell? Does it make sense? What's the most we can net? Okay. What can we do to help you sell? Okay. Is it going to be easy property to sell? And when is the best time? Is it this month? Is it next month? Right? Depending on your goals and your timeline, those are discussions that we have as a selling agent when we sit down to talk to you. And then we analyze, okay, well, how much repairs do you really need? What condition is your home? We give you all those numbers, and then of course you make a decision. And just because we give you numbers does not mean that every agent can deliver on that, right? That is knowing your market, knowing what you need to do, knowing how to market and advertise it. Sometimes you have a great market, like a spring market that's always hot. So technically, you could put anybody's name on there and it'll sell. Okay, it could, but it's not by accident, guys. A lot of people are in this industry a long time because of knowing their numbers, having a reputation, and being very honest about what they do. So other agents like you and they'll do business with you. Okay, if other agents don't like you, you may think that your cousin or uncle or brother who got licensed was better, but other agents might not know them and they might not want to work with them. So now you get a lower purchase price. Okay, when you try to resell, when you have an agent that's more known out there and well liked out there, you get a higher value and a greater resale and a better buyer. So your transaction is very smooth, no problems. Okay, that is the negotiation. That's what you pay for when you hire a broker and when you hire a team and when you pay their fees. You're paying for the service, the marketing, the marketability, the resources they have in order to sell your home at the top and create a good transaction where it's very pleasant. Okay, sometimes we can't control what the buyer is going to do. Okay, but that's why we are very picky about choosing the right buyer so that we can get it closed, so you move on in your life and they move on in their life. Okay, so again, there's a lot more tied to the selling side than just throwing your house on the market. Okay, our reputation gets put on there, pricing it right gets put on there, building relationship with other agents is put on there, the timeline invested, how much months do I invest and how much work do I need to do, how much traffic do I need to drive, how many open house do I need to do. All of these things will dictate the cost that each agent will charge you. Okay, however the case, you get to choose. Okay, that is the secret, is you get to choose. You get to choose the agent, you get to choose the team. They will show you their cost, they will show you what they know and why they're a good fit for you, and you make a decision. However the case, I don't suggest that people sell randomly and just choose somebody. This is your largest investment that you make in your life. Okay, if you're very picky on trusting the agent that helps you buy it to build equity, you should also be picky choosing the selling agent to help you sell it. Okay, because if you're not selling correctly, you're going to sit on the market longer and you're going to lose equity. Your value is based on who is listing your house. I've seen this across the board in 10 years. Some brokers, they just have properties that, just to me, in my opinion, I just feel like they're not good quality, or maybe they haven't coached their clients well. I feel like they could have done a little bit more just to make it a little bit nicer because they're charging top dollar. That's my opinion. Okay. However, the case, some other brokers you go into and you just know that if it's this broker or this company, when you walk in there, it's pristine and great condition and very organized, easy to make a decision. Okay. So I'm just telling you guys from my own experience. I've walked about 1,000 home a year. I've walked over 10,000 home in 10 years. I didn't know I wasn't supposed to, so I just did. But because of that, I've seen a lot of these properties that some brokers year over year, they sell the same thing. Okay. And then some brokers year over year, they sell really nice properties and very clean. And they teach their sellers what to do and what not to do. and it's easy to advertise, easy to market, and easy to sell at the top, making you as a seller the most money. Okay, so that's what we have seen in multiple years. But again, this is just my opinion. Every person you ask is going to give you a different answer. Every agent you hire is going to give you a different answer. Every agent has a different vision when they look at a property. Okay, every single time I look at a house, I look at it from like three perspectives. Okay, I'm always looking at, as an investor, what are they looking for? Okay, what are the costs? What are associated with making this house gorgeous or raise the value? And then number two, I'm looking at as a seller, like if I'm selling this house right now, how do I know it's going to sell high or sell low? And what can I do to it as a seller, just a seller, not an investor? You know, do I live here 2 years? Do I live here 5 years? Right? As a seller, I got to think of, okay, what would a seller do? And what would they think? And how much do they think they can get? And then as a buyer, I put on the buyer hat. If I'm buying it, am I buying at the top? Am I buying too low? Do I have multiple competition? Do I want to fight for this? Do I do an inspection? Right? So we look at that from multiple perspectives in order to guide and coach you as a client on how to make the best decision, regardless of what kind of buyer is going to walk your property. Any question they ask, we should be able to answer with 100% efficiency of knowing that, yes, I don't know this about the house, or I know this about the house, or you can do this, or you can't do this. Again, you do that in your full disclosure anyways. However, the fact, I would say that most properties that you sell, if you have a good relationship with the agent as a buyer agent, if you're the selling agent and they trust you and they tell their buyers are going to buy your property, right? If they don't trust your agent, they won't trust your sellers. Okay, we represent you kind of like an attorney, even though we're not. We are the face of your property and your value, and if we don't have a good conversation with other people, they don't trust us and they don't trust you. So understand that the person you hire is very, very crucial. How much they net you, how quick you can sell, who is going to walk your property, and why do they want to buy it? Okay, I've just seen that over and over again. It does not mean that every property is the same. Okay, there's different quality, there's different price point, there's different timeline when you're selling, so they're all different. However, the case, it still comes back down to the agent and their performance and who they are to get the word out there and to get people to walk your property and to call. Okay. So again, I hope that helped you guys. That's a short little clip on what it means when you're working with a listing agent, and how does that work, and how do buyers view your property, and what do they expect. And again, I would tell you guys 10 out of 10 transaction if the selling agent, well, the buyer's agent, if they're not getting paid, they're probably not going to walk your property because their buyers probably cannot afford to pay them. So just keep in mind that as a seller, if you don't make enough money to pay for your agent and the fee, which again, let's say that I charge 6%, if you can't cover me and you can't split that to cover the buyer's agent, they're probably not going to walk your house. Okay. So just keep in mind that that's kind of still what the norm is right now that I've seen in the marketplace. I have yet to walk a property that the buyers or the sellers did not want to pay. Okay, if they don't pay, we probably move on because I know that my buyers can afford it. Okay, looking at all the numbers of all of my buyers, whether it's first time or second time or third time, even some of these buyers are sellers and they have a lot more money equity wise, they still can't afford to do this. Okay, so I'm just telling you guys from a word of caution: if you're a seller and you think that you're going to go with this lower cost agent who has less experience, but they're going to charge you less and they're going to make you more money, that's not going to happen. Okay. By some luck, it does happen, but it's not common to make it happen because if you're not guided correctly, you're not priced correctly, and you don't pay a commission to the buyer agent, it's probably not going to sell. Okay. Most buyers still cannot afford that commission. That's why when you're buying, you want to build that equity in. So someday when you're ready to sell, you can cash out and do this again, or you can cash out and buy something else. Okay. So again, any other questions you guys have, if you guys have it, comment below. I will update the description. I don't think I put something in there. But again, I wanted to just put this out there because I had a couple requests asking about this. And again, we do this every time we walk in a house with a seller. So we don't really do this and put it out there in the open because for every seller is different. Okay. I cannot give you a price and quote and all that stuff if I don't know your property, right? But again, first thing we do is pull the CMA. We look at your value. We look at what it takes to sell it. We explain that to you. We show you the comparables. and then we come up with, okay, this is what I'm going to charge because this is what it takes for me to sell it. It may take me 1% to market your property, and it may take me 1% to pay my broker. And if I can make 1%, then I'll do it. If I can't make that, I might not take your listing. Okay. So just keep in mind that there's a way that people do this, but it's per their business and per their structure and their system. So I hope that helps you guys, whoever are trying to sell out there. There is a right time to sell and there is a wrong time to sell. Sometimes people hold their property too long when they should let it go. Okay, you should just sell it. If you're in foreclosure or pre-foreclosure, let us know what we can do to help you. Don't just sell it to an investor and don't foreclose it. Okay, sometimes you can break even or sometimes you can make money and then get out. Okay, but it depends on your position. And if you don't talk to a real estate professional that looks at all these numbers, I don't know how to help you guys. All I do is I hear some of these stories out there and I wish they would have called. I wish they would have asked us questions. So I'm putting this out there in the public eye. So if you guys have questions, if we can help, or if we could direct you to the right team to help you, please let us know. Again, I'm George Ng with Team LNG KW, Minnesota, Roseville. Let us know what we can do to help you guys. Thank you guys for watching my real estate market update today. August 12th, again, the year is almost over. However, if you still have goals to buy or goals to sell or invest or buy land, we are here. Love to help you guys out. Love to explain the process to you guys. And again, every buyer has a different window. Okay. Don't listen to everything you hear. Don't listen to all that noise out there. Every person is different. Every situation is different. If we have to take you and coach you month by month until you're ready, so be it. Okay. That's fine with us. Okay. We have a lot of different buyers and sellers at different point in their business and different point in their life. Depending on what they're trying to do, we cater to whatever it is we can help you with and your timeline. So let us know what we can do. And again, please like, share, comment. This will be live on my YouTube page for a longer time, and Facebook is only 30 days. So again, if you have questions, let me know. Comment below. And again, I'll see you guys next Monday on Real Estate Market Update. Again, if you have questions, let us know. Again, we're here 24/7 in the market, real estate market. Again, we can't help you if we don't know you. Okay, so we'll love to connect with you guys, but please like and share with other people so they can see.